What was your day like when you first heard about the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and how did you feel about it?
Well, I was 10. What I remember, in those days, remember I told you there were no televisions. We had this little Philco radio, and we heard it, and my father said, oh, he says, why did Japan do that? They're a little country. They can't win. Why do they do that? Oh, they make so much trouble for us, you know. And we knew that that was going to be a problem. And for me, it was sort of like, oh, that's kind of interesting news, you know. And I had no idea what the implications were at that time. I just realized that my father was making these comments, and that was it.
So, how was your relationship with other students at school after the bombing of Pearl Harbor?
I think there's a mix here. In the first book, I think there's a story about how I got chased home with kids, you know, calling me names and that kind of stuff. And I would say in the beginning, your friends are friends and you continue on, but a propaganda machine was in force. Newspapers, billboards, movies, anywhere you went, there were these blaring pictures and images of the Japanese soldier, a caricature with the buck teeth and the slanted eyes and the bayonet like this, and it would say something like, kill a Jap, win the war. And it was that kind of thing that was churning and churning. And then the government was also saying, you must join in and sell bonds, and you must join in for the, you know, for the defense of this country, and on and on. And so this really started creating, churning the waters until people began to see us as the enemy as well, because we looked like the enemy. And they couldn't tell whether we would perform some sabotage.
So, can you describe a specific incident where you were treated differently after the bombing?
Well, that's the incident that I was talking about. It was where no one used to bother me when I was young and going to school. But after all this propaganda and everything, it became scary. First of all, they closed down the Japanese school, but then going home, it was, talking about scary, it was scarier because there are kids who would say, are you a Jap? You know, go home, go where you belong. And then all kinds of things, you know, and so that really was frightening to be have rocks thrown at you and sticks and being called names.
So how did you manage the mistreatments by other people around you?
Well, one of the ways I managed was I had a good Chinese friend who lived about 3 houses down, and her name was Joyce Chan, and she was wearing an I am Chinese button, red, white, and blue button. And so one day, this happened right after I had been chased home. And I was thinking, how in the world am I going to get home? And it never occurred to me that I would tell anybody in the family that so that I could stay home, because remember I said, you're in school unless you're dead or really, really ill. So she has, when she opened the screen door, she was wearing this button, and I said, oh my gosh, let me have that button. So for my 10 cents candy, we swapped, and I got this button. So after that, I would wear that button going to and from Chinese, from the American school, because our Japanese school was closed. And I felt that it was kind of a protective thing, you know.